Hi everyone, it is Wednesday, June 17th, 2015, and this is episode 24 of the Serenova podcast. I'm your host, Jessica. I can be found on Ravelry and Twitter as Serenova, on Instagram as Serenova_Phoenix, and you can find all of the show notes for this episode on my blog, which is myknittinglife.wordpress.com. I also have a Ravelry group for this podcast, Serenova Podcast. I'd love it if you came and left a comment on the show. Really great. I might be sniffling a lot this morning. Allergies have gotten pretty bad here in southern New Hampshire, and I have turned the AC off for the sake of this recording. I'm going to turn it back on as soon as I'm done recording, but the background noise, because the AC is about 3 feet that way, was just a little too much for the sake of recording. So I will turn the AC back on afterwards. I keep looking down at my show notes, sorry. So, I don't have anything finished for you folks. But I do I have one almost finished thing, but it's not knitting, it's spinning. I don't have any finished knitting objects. I have some 75% finished stuff and some I've worked on this stuff, but I don't have any finished objects this week. That's just the way it worked out, unfortunately. Didn't get a chance to finish a lot of things this past week. But I did go to Worldwide Knit in Public Day, which was actually a week-long event, at my local shop this past Saturday. And we sat outside, all day, or at least while the shop was open, and knit in public. We eventually ended up inside for, the last hour before the shop closed, because we were running out of shade and it was getting rather warm because it was an 80-some-odd degree day. And, yeah. So, there's that. I'm totally behind in my podcast watching. I have last week and last weekend, this past week and everything has actually been pretty busy for me in terms of, real life stuff. So I haven't had time to sit and watch podcasts, even while I was working, because we've had a lot of new training at work recently, and for that I need to actually, watch videos and tutorials and stuff, so I can't watch a podcast while I'm supposed to be watching a video for my job, right? That doesn't work. If I'm just, doing my regular stuff where I don't need to listen to anything, yeah, sure, I'll have podcasts on, and that's normally how I keep up with them. But, yeah. It's been an interesting week. So, I have a spindle in my hand that I'm fiddling with, because there's yarn on it, there's a single on it, and this is a new-ish spin. Because I finished the other one. But I'm gonna start with the socks first. I'm looking over here because I have stuff on the shelf. So, I finished one of my June socks. Here it is. One finished sock. The yarn is Patton's Croy in the Rusty Stripes colorway, and I am almost at the heel of sock 2. So, I don't know why I'm showing you both sides, because they look exactly the same, but I am. I'm going to do the same thing with this one as I did with this one, which is pull from the opposite ball, because I still have leftover stuff from making the first sock, to do the heel. So that the stripe progression on the front of the foot, as you can see, this is the heel. See how the heel's a different color? On the front, the stripes continue with no problems. So, I'm going to do the same thing on this one so that they match. The heels might not match, but the stripes on the front will match, and that's what matters to me. Especially because Croy is one of those yarns where it's really easy to match the stripes. Okay, I need to adjust the camera, because I keep sinking in the beanbag, and I keep getting lower in the shot, so I'm going to adjust the camera real quick here. Excuse my hand. Much better. My head is now in the top third of the frame instead of, midway. So I think I'll move it down just a smidge more. Hey, there we go. You can actually see my torso. Because, yeah, Kevin's, as you can see, I'm sitting actually rather far down in the beanbag. Because Kevin's made a bit of a dip in it just from sitting in it a lot, because he really likes it. I only sit in it when I record my podcasts, because I much prefer the couch, because the couch is a lot firmer, and, I don't sink into it like I'm sinking into this. But the lighting on the couch, because we turned our couch kitty corner to our sliding door, it doesn't quite work. But sitting in the beanbag, I can get straight on to the sliding door, and I'm not sitting with like half my face in light and half my face in shadow, which is what would happen if I sat on the couch. So, yeah, not sitting on the couch. So, socks, June socks, almost done. Oh yeah, this is a, you know those places where you can go and like paint pottery and then they'll, you know, fire it for you? I did this and I'm using it as a yarn bowl. So I put fleur-de-lis on the inside, and then I just did the outside a nice like royal, like navy blue, and then I got my initials and the year on the bottom. And it's nice and deep, so like this completely disappears into it. I mean, it doesn't have a cutout or anything for yarn, but it keeps my ball from rolling away, so, you know, it works. I'm grabbing this book because my cousin and his wife are having another baby, and she's due in September, and so I'm trying to decide what blanket to make them, because it's become a bit of a thing that every time one of my cousins has a kid, I make a baby blanket, because they've all been born, except for one of them, they've all been born since I got back into yarn craft, both knit and crochet, which was late 2010, early 2011. Now, my first cousin had a kid in 2010, but I wasn't knitting, crocheting, or anything at that point. I hadn't picked it back up yet. But after I did for her second Christmas, and her first birthday, I made her stuff. Because by then I picked it back up, and I actually made, my first Intarsia project went to them. I made a hat. You can actually find it in my Ravelry projects. It's old though, you have to scroll way down. It's a hat with ladybugs on it, because my cousin's nickname for his daughter is Ladybug, and their second daughter is Bumblebee. And it's cute, you know. And actually, I made a blanket for their second daughter, and I actually took color requests on that one, because they were being secretive about what the gender was, and they weren't telling anyone, and I said, look, if you want a blanket to match the nursery, just give me 2 colors. And I said, I'm not asking what gender, I'm not asking you to tell me, I'm saying, what colors do you want? And they said, well, we're doing a garden theme, so why don't you do a green and a yellow? I said, great, I can do that. And honestly, I had no clue what sex the baby was until the thing was born, and if I found out it was a girl. But I'm like, okay, because, like, a garden-themed nursery could go for anyone, really, like, but my other cousin is having their 3rd child due in September, so now I need to make a blanket. So, I have gone through a couple of my crochet books, and I'm starting to scour Ravelry. But this book, which is the Big Book of Granny Squares, 365 Crochet Motifs by Tracy Lord. There we go. Has some nice ones. I mean, some of it is way too open or has stuff hanging off of it, and I don't want the baby's fingers to get caught in the blanket. I need something solid. So actually, a traditional granny square doesn't quite work, because it's a little too open. But there's a couple in here that I think would work well. Like, there's this one called Gentle Waves, and it says it's good for baby blankets or Afghans. And this one it's a granny square, but it's not knit, in the round. It's knit it's crochet knit. It's a crochet book. What am I talking about? It's not crocheted from the inside to the outside of the square. It's crocheted from the bottom edge to the top edge. So if I like the stitch, I'm going to work up a couple of samples. If I like the stitch, I'm just going to make it wide enough to make a 2-foot by 3-foot blanket, and then I'm just going to go to town. But, so, I'm going to cover the directions because this is a paid-for book and show you the... And I wouldn't put it in that pink, because I actually messaged the mother, and I'm like, hey, I want to make you guys a baby blanket. Do you have any color requests? No, you don't need to tell me the sex of the baby, but I want to match your nursery. You know, like, and she's like, for their first child, they painted the nursery in like a forest theme. So like trees on the walls and forest creatures like owls and foxes and bunnies and stuff, right? And for their first child, which was a boy, for his first Christmas, I knit him a stuffed fox. Now I made it out of acrylic with polyfill because this was a stuffy, and I wanted the kid to play with it, but they have 2 German Shepherds and a cat. It turns out it's a good thing I made it out of acrylic that could go in the washing machine because the baby was playing tug of war with it with the German Shepherd and it got very much slobbered on. So I'm kind of glad I used machine washable for that. Because honestly, I had a feeling that was going to happen and I'd rather make something out of something I know is easy to care for and that they're going to get use out of because I'm not aiming to make them an heirloom for these kids. The mother's mom, crochets, and she crochets beautifully, and she makes their christening blankets, which those are heirlooms, cause that side of my family's Catholic. I know, I'm Jewish, but that side of my family's Catholic. Italian Catholic, so you can go from there. You can guess from there what it's like. So this baby's grandmother crochets. And like I said, crochets absolutely beautifully. She's a lovely woman. And she makes the heirlooms. So what I make is something I want them to use, something I want to get I make it with the expectation it's going to have the crap beat out of it because they're now going to have 3 children under the age of 4, 2 dogs and a cat. If that isn't a messy house, okay, it's not messy in that, there isn't dirt on the floor. But, kids spill stuff, babies throw up, dogs will grab blankets or toys or whatever, the cat's gonna climb on, it's just one of those environments where I know it's going to get dirty. And considering their lifestyle and how busy they are, and considering the number of kids, the number of animals, etc., I'll make their lives easy and make something that they can do. So there's a couple more blocks that I think would work. I actually put a lot of tabs in to see, but there's a few of them I think would work. Like, a lot of these patterns are just way too open, and I'm just worried about the kids' fingers getting caught. I'm not like one of those super crazy, like, nanny people who thinks that, like, a baby's gonna die, but at the same time, I'd rather not the kid break a finger in something I make them. So, yeah, because that's a thing. But, like, this one would be cool if I did a bunch of them, and, like, I graduated the colors and stuff, because this one's got cables on it, but it's crochet. See that? So I think that's pretty cool. There's a couple interesting ones like that, where if I did a couple of different colors, and I staggered them, like, across the board, I think that would be neat. This one, the block is named Mojito, but I just like the stitch motif. And it's a more subtle one. But again, it's not knit from the center out, it's knit. I keep saying knit, because I'm a knitter with a capital K and a crocheter with a lowercase c. So, but it's crocheted from bottom edge to top edge, so I could just expand it out into a blanket, and it's easy enough to do stripes, because, like, that's no big deal. I've done stripes in crochet before, and, like, I'm not intimidated by that at all. So we'll see. I have a few options, and I have another book with stitch motifs in it as well. And actually, this is a really cool book. If you like granny squares, and you don't have small children whose fingers would get caught in open work, check it out. And yes, those are some of the patterns in the book on the cover, so you can see the variety in here. But they're all square. There's 365 different squares, and I only marked a few of them. Oh, and the other thing about this book is that the binding is rings, so it actually lays flat. Actually, I can fold it nearly in half. And I don't need to worry about breaking the binding. Always a good thing. So, I am going to talk about the spinning. I am nearly finished and have restarted. And then I'm going to talk about more knitting. I'm only about 15 minutes. I'm doing pretty good on time. So, first of all, this is still on the thing because, yeah. So this is the first skein I spun. I think I finished it last month. Of the 100% alpaca. And here's the business card of the people I got it from. It's Purgatory Falls Alpaca Farm in Limeboro, New Hampshire. I know it doesn't look like Limeboro, but that's how it's. Come on, focus. They do have an Etsy. I'm trying to get it to focus for the sake of their Etsy shop. Nope, it's not focusing. It's, Gypsy Legacy. So it's etsy.com/shop/Gypsy Legacy. I'm going to try one more time. There we go. Kind of almost. You can read it. Hey, what do you know? And they're here in New Hampshire. It's not that far from me. It's like half hour, 45-minute drive probably. But yeah, but I learned something about alpaca is that it stretches. So I didn't get rid of it. I have 7 skeins of DK8 alpaca that I was going to make a sweater out of because alpaca is super warm. But it doesn't have the memory of wool. And so, keep sinking in the beanbag. So I was originally going to make a sweater out of it, but I decided I was going to nix that idea and make the sweater out of, different yarn, because even though it has a lot of structure in, like, being heavily cabled, it would still probably stretch out a lot, and I don't want to do that. So, and this yarn will probably also become a shawl. So, I have this finished, and then I have this. Woo, I haven't washed it yet, which is why it's still on the thing. But, so, this is what's going on here. Some of it, I didn't quite get enough twisted, and some of it I over-twisted. But, you know, learning experience. I don't want to spin 100% alpaca again. It's so slippery. But all together, between the two, both the previous skein and the stuff I just finished yesterday, I have about 600 yards of a heavy fingering light sport weight. So I'm going to do a shawl of some kind with that. Because I think that would be good. And then I've picked back up the Malabrigo fiber I was spinning. This is the Arco Iris color. I'm spinning it pretty fine. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Nope, my camera's being contrary today. But I picked this up again, so I'm going to put the bobbin back on my wheel when I'm done recording. Put that down. Now for the big bag. So, I have not worked on the Shawl of Doom, which is in here. So that goes away. I've not worked on it. I have, however, worked on my catkin, which, if this is a paid-for pattern, it's $6 on Ravelry. So I finished the first part, and I'm on to the second part, which is the cream down here. The chart, however, is getting to me. Because, like, I can knit the Shawl of Doom. Give me, like, super complicated, like, totally difficult to follow lace, and I'm golden. I can hold a conversation while knitting it, everything. Ask me to do something that simply knits and purls to form a zigzag, and I'm apparently hopeless. I, like, can't count to 2. It's, like, the most ridiculous thing. But, so, here it is. See how the knits and purls form those V shapes? Yeah. I'm having a problem with that. Apparently I can't count to 2, 3, and 5 reliably and consistently. Good times. Both of these colors are Ella Ray Lace Merino, bought 2 different places at 2 different times, but considering Ella Ray Lace Merino is pretty consistent, and they were only bought about a year apart, I'm not worried about it. It's not like one was super old and one was super new. That's not the case. I worked a little bit on my, Twail Sock Club socks. Not much, though, but I am, on my 3rd chart repeat. I have 9 for the first leg. But, like, I still have, like, 2 months and 2 weeks to knit 2 socks, so, because it's quarterly. So here you go. This pattern is Diamonds in the Fluff, and it is free on Ravelry. And the yarn is 100 Ravens is the dyer, and Iacos is the yarn, and the color is a custom for the sock club, so unfortunately you can't get it, sorry. But it's called Nelson's 5 and Dime, but unfortunately it is not a regular color that she dyes. It's not one of her normal ones. But I have knit with her stuff before, and I have knit with Iacos in a bunch of different colors. I've used Starry Night, Freya, Norbert, a bunch of them. And I have some in stash as well. I have Krishna and Circle Seahold in stash. You can also just go to 100ravens.com because she's great. I have another, she did a custom color for Jimmy Beans over the holidays, Jimmy Beans wool over the holidays. So I have one skein of that I'm using for a project. Gorgeous dyes, go check it out. I don't work for her. Well, I've done sample knits for her, but I'm not on her payroll. But I love her stuff. Go check out her website. I'll link it in the show notes. Great stuff. Great stuff. Gorgeous colors. And the other thing I've worked on, which I know I shouldn't be starting projects. I really shouldn't be, but I am. Because I'm a horrible person. Not a horrible, but you know. So I started I have no idea how to pronounce it, Leher. It's Leher shawl. And it is available for free on Ravelry. I think it's free. It might be free. I'm not sure it's free. I can check though. And I'm gonna be starting another shawl because like I don't have enough stuff on the needles, right? Yeah. I know, I'm so ridiculous sometimes it's not even funny. Come on, internet. Internet, come on. But this is it's a simple lace shawl. Not terribly difficult, it's fairly easy. And it's a stole more than a shawl. It's not actually, yep, it's free. So I will pull up a picture of the actual pattern. And it's knit in a solid color on the project page, but I'm not knitting it in a solid color, so there you go. So that's Leher, or however you say it. And this is mine so far. I'm about a third of the way through the first repeat. So you can see that there's a little bit of lace. See that? See the lace? So, but I'm thinking I might frog it and go down a needle size because it's super loose and I don't want it to be quite this loose because this yarn is more of a light fingering than like a true fingering. So I think I'm going to frog it and go down a needle size. Because I am using 6s, but I think they're too big. So I might go down to a 5 or even a 4. I might go down to the 4 because I like, certain shawls, like if they're supposed to be like real lacy and everything, I don't mind them being airy. But when the stocking net in something is so loose that like it's got a gap due to the needle size, and now I knit tightly, it's not, I'm going to go down a needle size, or 2, we'll see. But this yarn is, because I've caked up both skeins, but I have one cake that I'm not using. And this is, tell you in a sec after I show it to you, isn't it pretty? It's pretty, look at it. This is from Amanda at Lammy Toes, and this is her Moon Pie Merino, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Yeah, it's 463 yards to 100 grams, so it's a light fingering. And this is her Bad Egg colorway. So, and her shop is Lammy Toes Shop. That's LAMBYTOES shop.etsy.com. So here's the back of the card. And here's the front of the card. And I have 2 skeins of Bad Egg that are going to become this stole. But I definitely need to frog and go down a needle size. So that'll happen, later today or tomorrow, something like that. Whenever I feel like frogging a dozen rows of knitting. Cause actually it's literally a dozen rows. Like it's 5 rows of, 5 rows of garter, and then I'm on, like, the 7th or 8th stockinette row of, like, actual pattern, so it's not so far in that it's a catastrophe for me to rip it. Like, I have not yet finished a pattern repeat. Like, that's how little of a catastrophe this is. I think I might actually go down to 4s. Because I like my stockinette to be, like, nice and dense, so I think I'm going to go down to 4s. And I might add a 6th pattern repeat to compensate. Because I like the width it is now, but if I go down 2 needle sizes, it's going to get a lot tighter. So I think I'll add an extra repeat in, which is easy enough because all the numbers and everything are there on the chart and all that stuff, so that's fine. Yeah, I think that's actually it for today. Let me just double check my show notes here. But that would be good because it would give me time to log into work for 9 because it's like 8:45 right now. Come on, Evernote. I use Evernote for my notes. Finished alpaca, baby blanket. Oh, right. The baby blanket colors are gray and purple or like fox orange. I might try to figure out a way to use all 3. If I do like stripes or like granny squares blocks and I do them in a like a diagonal pattern, like with stripes, but I would not put the purple and the orange next to each other. I know better than that. I would separate them by the gray. I might do that. What I could do is do a block of one of the of purple and put a gray border, then do a block of orange, put a gray border. See what I'm saying? So I would have gray in between because I think purple and orange can go together, but it's tricky. It's very tricky. Or I might just do purple and gray because she did say purple and gray. But the orange, but that foxy reddish orange, it's not a true orange. Like, you know what color a red fox is? It's a reddish orange. It's very much a burnt orangish red. It's more a red orange than a true orange. And red and purple can go together. So I think I could swing it depending on the colors I found. I'd have to go, like, to the store and actually, like, look and put stuff together. Because unfortunately I don't have that in stash. Especially because I'd probably be doing this in a worsted weight. But I'll probably run it by my mom because what we've done in the past is she's bought the yarn and I've made the blanket. So I'll run that by her and see how it goes. But anyways, I have some color decisions to be making. And, yeah, so I think that's it. Right about a half hour this week. So I hope you all have a good week. I hope you all have a good weekend. It is Father's Day this coming weekend. I'm actually taking my dad out to lunch on Sunday, so that'll be good. I don't get much alone time with him. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, because he is remarried and has kids and stuff, but it is nice to once in a while, you know, just have him to myself for a few hours. Because, I mean, he is my dad. So, there's 2 blue jays having a fight outside. Okay, then. I looked above and to the left of the camera, and there's 2 blue jays on a branch going at it. It's one of those mornings. It's one of those mornings. But yes, longest goodbye ever, because I'm scatterbrained. So I will see you all next week. Again, have a good week. Have a good Father's Day. Feel free to like, follow, subscribe. Again, show notes on my blog. All the information is in the credits. So thank you for watching, and I appreciate comments. So I'll see you next week. Bye!